President Carter, born James Earl Carter Jr. on October 1st, 1924, in the small town of Plains, Georgia, to James Earl Carter Sr., a farmer and businessman, and Lillian Gordy Carter, a registered nurse. The family later settled in the small community of Archery. Growing up, the soon-to-be president had a typical childhood. Becoming heavily involved in church, Carter also remained focused in the books as he knew he was destined to serve the nation in a much bigger way.
Well, living 2.5 or 3 miles outside of town on a farm in an isolated rural community, Plains to me was a big city.
Following his high school graduation, Carter jumped around to different schools, studying at both Georgia Southwestern College and the Georgia Institute of Technology. In 1946, he received his bachelor's from the United States Naval Academy. Shortly after, he married a woman by the name of Rosalind Smith, who he had known for quite some time. Together, the two moved around and had 4 children, 3 sons, John William, James Earl III, Donnell Jeffrey, and a daughter, Amy Lynn. In 1953, the Carters moved back to Plains, a move Rosalind deeply disagreed with. But after his father passed, Carter felt it was his duty to take over the family's peanut farm and tend to his mother. After making Georgia home a second time, Carter quickly became involved in the community, becoming a leader on the Board of Education, Hospital Authority, and Library. Carter, a Southerner, yearned to be different from the typical Southern politician, scoring his first major political role in 1962 after being elected to the Georgia Senate. But Carter's eyes were set on a much bigger prize. At just 46 years old, he became the 76th governor of Georgia in 1971.
At the end of a long campaign, I believe I know our people of this state as well as anyone could. Based on this knowledge of Georgians, north and south, rural and urban, liberal and conservative, I say to you quite frankly that the time for racial discrimination is over.
Once he was governor, he vowed to make a difference in the state. Carter often spoke out against segregation and promoted education and prison reform. Many credited him with diversifying the state's government as well. In the 1970s, following the Watergate scandal, Americans felt elected officials couldn't be trusted. But Carter set out to restore their faith. On December 12, 1974, he announced his candidacy to become the 39th President of the United States.
My name is Jimmy Carter, and I'm running for president.
Optimism filled the air as Jimmy and Rosalind Carter entered the White House with their kids in tow. America needed someone that could improve the unemployment rates and the ongoing inflation rates. Carter was a big environmentalist. In 1977, he signed the Department of Energy Organization Act, thus creating the Department of Energy, even at one point installing the first set of solar water heating panels on the White House. A year later, he helped bring amity between Egypt and Israel with the Camp David Agreement, one of the most notable accomplishments of the Carter administration. Although violence in the Middle East continues, the accords and treaties signed on March 26, 1979 remains the single greatest steps towards peace in the region.
I'm so proud of both of you.
In 1981, during his final days as president, Carter rarely left the Oval Office, overseeing the last details that would free American hostages at the U.S. Embassy in Tehran. Every day, he worked to bring them home safely.
We're using every available channel to protect the safety of the hostages and to secure their release.
Post-in-office life allowed President Carter to bring a lifelong vision to fruition. In 1982, the nonprofit Carter Center was founded. Most importantly, in 1994, when the U.S. and South Korea were on the brink of war with North Korea, Jimmy and Rosalind traveled to the country representing the Carter Center to meet with the North Korean president, ultimately resulting in North Korea agreeing to freeze its nuclear program. Since President Carter's election went so well in the U.S., he and the Carter Center helped strengthen democracy by overseeing over 100 national elections. The Carter Center continues to guide the growth of democratic institutions, ensuring that government decisions are open and transparent, and competing for the public office is fair. His work through the Carter Center earned him a Nobel Peace Prize back in 2002.
We can choose to alleviate suffering. We can choose to work together for peace. We can make these changes.
Soon after leaving Washington, the Carters moved back to Plains to try and get back to a normal life. The couple sold their peanut warehouse, began writing memoirs, and President Carter became a professor at Emory University in Atlanta. Up until his death, President Carter remained deeply rooted in Plains, continuing to practice his faith as he served as a Sunday school teacher. Decades went by, and Carter still managed to volunteer once a week every year for Habitat for Humanity, even at age 95. President Jimmy Carter will continue to be remembered for not only his character and faith, but as a man who set out to make the world a better place, one day at a time.
Stay up to date with this story and more. Subscribe to our Watch Fox YouTube page. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and click the notification bell to never miss an update.